We are in our summer series, Teachings of Jesus. This, I believe, is what are we on, week 4, I think, of this one? Sammy started, I've done 2, so 2, 1, 1, 4. I can do math. And the title of our sermon this morning is The Plank in Your Eye. Maybe you've heard this expression, maybe you're familiar with this verse. We're going to be looking at the Sermon on the Mount again. Looked at the Sermon on the Mount last week. Sermon on the Mount it's some of Jesus's most in-depth teachings, and he offers the Sermon on the Mount before he begins his ministry, really. This is the very beginning when he's starting to let everyone know, here's who I am, here are the things that I'm about, here's what God is like. And so he has this teaching where he gathers disciples, followers, people who are just curious about who he is. They've heard about him. They've gathered on this mountain to listen. And it's almost as if he's saying, here's what you will see from me as my life continues. As you witness my life, here are some of the teachings that I live by. Here is a picture of the true God. So we'll begin Matthew chapter 7, beginning verse 1. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? I mean, Jesus is funny, right? He has a sense of humor. There's some comedy here. How can you say to your brother, hey, let me take that speck out of your eye when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Now, let's talk about judging for a moment here, because it's almost like there's 2 types of judging. There is healthy judging, and we all must exercise healthy judging. This is what keeps us safe. It establishes boundaries. It allows us to make the right decisions in life. This is a picture of a neighborhood in downtown Detroit. When I was a youth pastor, we took a youth group missions trip one summer to Detroit. And we were told, as soon as we arrived at the place where we were staying, whatever you do, do not go out at night, and be careful which streets you walk down. Just about a week ago, there were multiple shootings in the street right next door to where you're staying. So it was in our best judgment, it was best for us to listen to that advice. I decided that I was going to take a group of the kids in broad daylight to go visit Tiger Stadium. Well, when we were walking back past a street that looked like this, there were multiple people sitting along the side of the street. There was a fire going. I don't know all that was taking place there, but I looked down the street where I knew I had to go in that general direction. I made a judgment call and I said, let's avoid this street. Let's keep walking and find another way back to the place in which we were staying. So you all exercise judgment throughout the day, weeks, throughout your entire life. Healthy judging. This is not what Jesus is talking about when he says, do not judge. How about this picture right here? If you were alone in Manhattan or some other city, let's say it was midnight, would you by yourself walk down this dark alleyway? All right, maybe one of us might. For the majority of us, we are going to judge that this is probably not the best route to take. What about this one? If this is your vehicle, this is your truck, you walk up to it and you notice, oh my goodness, what happened to my tire? Will you get in the truck and start driving away? No. You all exercise healthy judgment on a daily basis. You come to a fork in the road. You have to judge, is this the right road for me to take, or should I take this road instead? So when we talk about do not judge, this is not what Jesus is talking about. There's an element of judging, a type of judging that is healthy, that is good, that keeps us safe. But then there is, let's call it unhealthy judging. And I would argue this is what Jesus is talking about. Do not judge. Unfortunately, judging The unhealthy type of judging is inherent to all of us. I've been there. I continue to be there. No matter how much I might try, my knee-jerk reaction is to automatically judge others. Well, before I had kids especially, if you're in a store and you see a bunch of children running around the store screaming, or you see them crying, whatever, department store, Target, the grocery store, automatically you start judging the parents. Where are their parents? What is going on here? Would someone get those kids under control? Have you ever been there before? Thank you. I'm not the only one. I have kids. I've been on the other side of that judging. I have seen those looks. I've seen those glances and glares. So I know how it feels to be on the other side of it. Yet when I'm by myself without my kids and I actually get a little bit of quiet time and I see other kids running around a store, inherently I still go and judge the parents, even though this could be me like 4 hours later. What about this one? How often do we judge the things that people say? Or how people speak? You ever been there before? I mean, I'm there again. This is a confession right here. I'm there all the time. They said that? Why'd they use that word? Why are they talking with that accent? Why do they sound? Why do they mumble their words? I mean, we all make judgments based off of how people speak and the things that they say. What about some of these? The way in which people look. What's funny, when I was going over the sermon this morning, automatically I was like, you know what? People are going to judge this guy from what he's wearing. And I see a few of you nodding your heads like, yep, you got me on that one. We judge people based off of how they look, how their hair is cut, the things that they wear, how they dress, their job, their beliefs, their lifestyle choices. I mean, this is a few items. I'm sure the list could go on and on. You can think of some items that you could add to this list, things that you automatically judge other people on, or that other people have judged you on, or that you've seen other people judging others. Like, man, look at their Instagram page. I mean, social media just takes judging to a whole other level. We're not going to even dive into, that's a whole other sermon. But it's inherent within all of us to begin judging others based off of these and other qualities. Now, let's break what we read into 3 different parts, 3 different sections, 3 important items to look at if we want to understand what Jesus is talking about and then how to live by these words, because that's the point. When Jesus says, do not judge, just like last week, don't worry, very hard to do unless there's some texture to it. So when Jesus says, do not judge, how do we follow the way of Jesus? How do we follow that wisdom? First, let's look at this, Matthew 7. Don't judge, you too will be judged. In the same way you judge others, you will be judged. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Essentially, here's what this is saying. You will be judged according to how you judge others, which raises 2 questions. First one, I don't need an answer for this one. I'll know the answer just by the look on your face. Would you like being judged the way that you judge others? If you think about the times that you automatically judge someone else, would you like to be judged in that way? When I mentioned the story about the kids, I'm judging parents and then boom, man, it's turned right back in on me. And yet I still do it. And then here's another question. Well, who is doing the judging? Who is judging you? Because here's the verse again. Don't judge, you too will be judged. In the same way you judge others, you will be judged. By who? Who's Jesus talking about here? Is Jesus talking about others? God? Yourself? Maybe a mix of all 3 of those? Don't judge, but man, the implications of this, they go deep. Here's how the Sermon on the Mount is talked about in Luke. There's an added element to it. Don't judge, you will not be judged. Don't condemn, you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. That's odd. Forgive, you'll be forgiven. Here's how Jesus talks about forgiveness a little earlier in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew. If you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you don't forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. This is a weird verse, isn't it? I mean, think about this for a moment. If you don't forgive others, God won't forgive you. We don't like this. I don't like this verse. I wish I could just, who was it? Was it Ben Franklin who used to cut out verses he didn't like in the Bible? Is that who it was? Thomas Jefferson. You can see the Jefferson Bible. Where is it on display, Ted? In the Smithsonian. And verses he didn't like, he would just cut them right out. This is one of those, why do I want to forgive others? I mean, this one of those, just, can we cut this one? Can we remove it? Can we make our own version of the Bible? We'll have like a pamphlet or something like that, It's weird. Judging, forgiving, in what we just read, they appear conditional. Only if you forgive will you be forgiven. Only if you don't judge will you not be judged. But if you judge, well, then you'll be judged also. And if you don't forgive, then you're not going to be. I mean, this is weird. This is disturbing. This is uncomfortable. The way I see it is you can't give that which you haven't received. So when Jesus talks about this conditional aspect of forgiveness, of judging, of condemning, I think what's happening here is that you are unable to give that which you yourself have not received. If you aren't receiving, allowing yourself to rest in the forgiveness of Christ, well, then it becomes very difficult to allow that way of being to flow through you. Almost as if you're stopping the flow. Have you ever seen a river go and then there's a giant rock in the way? And the rock is basically blocking the flow of the river. Don't be like that rock. I think it's cyclical. I think it's like this. As you embrace forgiveness, as you accept forgiveness, you're then able to forgive others. And as you're able to forgive others, you're able to receive more of the forgiveness of Christ that is yours. In the same way that judging goes, as you allow or come to the realization that you're not being judged, but that God is accepting you and working through all of your sin and the parts of you that you might be uncomfortable with, you're now able to show grace and mercy toward others. But if you're not opening your hands to receive, well, then it's going to be impossible for you to allow the mercy and grace of Christ to flow through you to the world. So this conditional statement that makes us uncomfortable, we can kind of understand it a little bit when we look at it from this way. If you haven't received something, there's no way that you can then offer that, turn around and offer that to others. So then judging, I would say this, judging is less about them. So when we're judging others, it's less about the other person. It's actually more about you. And I've realized this from my own life. I'm not telling you anything I'm not telling myself. Judging is less about them. It's more about you and your inner state. What's happening within you. It's less about them. It's more about your sense of self. Well, how do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about where you stand with God? How comfortable are you with yourself? It's less about them. It's actually more about your desire for control, because judging is what it really is you trying to control the situation. It's you trying to elevate yourself above someone else. When we're putting others down, chances are there's something about ourselves that we don't like, we're not comfortable with. So we're putting others down so that we feel better about who we are. Think about whenever we demand perfectionism, we demand for others to be perfect. Typically, and I've seen this again, this is my own life, it's often because we're uncomfortable with our own sin, our own shortcomings, our own failures, and the uncertainties and questions that we carry around with us. So judging, it's less about them, it's more about actually how we're feeling within us and how we feel we're standing with Christ. But see, on the other hand, those who are filled with the most grace, those who are the most, we could say, merciful, compassionate, open, well, those are the ones who are most deeply aware of their own shortcomings and their own need for grace. It's like that circle. Goes around and around and around. The more aware we are of our need for grace, the more we are able to then forgive others and be merciful and compassionate and less judging because we realize we could be in that same place just a few hours later. And no matter how much I think about this, I still judge parents when their kids are running around the grocery store, even if I was there 3 hours before or will be there again. But when you stop, for me, when I stop and I pause and I think about it, I'm like, man, I've had one of those days. You then have compassion for the parents. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their week has looked like. Maybe they've just been fired from a job. Maybe they've just been separated from their spouse. Maybe they just got some bad health news for themselves or for one of their kids. You have no idea what's happening behind the scenes. All you see is the physical manifestations, but you have no idea what's happening under the surface. Now, let's go to the second part of Jesus' teaching here, Matthew 7:3. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye? Pay no attention to the plank in your own eye. How can you say to your brother, let me take that speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly. Now, 4 things to note. First, we are all struggling with something. When we come to this realization, when we live with this truth that everyone is dealing with their something, the hope is that that would stir more compassion within you. And it would create this sense of unity. We're all in this thing together. We all have our own struggles, our own particular struggles, but we all have something that we're carrying. We all have some burden. We all have some weight. And when we realize this, when I actually think about that, and I realize, okay, I'm dealing with this and this and this, and I have my list of burdens. And when I think about, well, that person also must have their list of burdens and weights as well, it's almost as if it just opens something up within me. It opens my heart up a little bit more, and I find myself being a bit more compassionate. I'm more filled with grace for others. I'm less prone to judging and more able to accept the flaws within others. Number 2, being a Christian, this is very important. Being a Christian or being a follower of Jesus doesn't give you license to judge Christians or non-Christians. So I want to speak to all the followers of Jesus here this morning. If you consider yourself a follower of Jesus, it does not give you license to judge others within the church or those outside of the church. And a couple of disclaimers for this one. Number 1, you, and I'm talking to you do not hold the golden ticket on morality. A lot of people within the church think they do, but no one holds the golden ticket on morality. Okay, that is assigned to Jesus, I think we could say. So if you're a follower of Jesus, you don't have a golden ticket, you don't have a Wonka ticket. A few other things. If you're a Christian, number 1, please do this, okay? Stop expecting non-Christians to share your belief system. Just not going to happen. So you're expecting something of someone else that they don't share it with you. So stop expecting it. And number 2, stop enforcing your belief system upon non-Christians. Unfortunately, Christians do this all the time, and that is why the church has been known, probably I haven't seen the latest stats, but I remember a study that came out about 10, 15 years ago. The church was seen, number 1, as being judgmental. I think Christians need to stop enforcing our belief system upon those who do not follow Jesus. I follow a pastor named Andy Stanley. Maybe you've heard of him before. And I recently, for some reason, I've been kind of tuning into some of his latest sermons. And this idea kind of originated from one of his recent sermons. He had this verse that he talked about. And I'm sure I've seen the verse before, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. I kind of maybe passed by it before. He referenced this verse, and it's my new favorite verse. I love this one. Might come back to it again in another series coming up here. But here it is, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. We urge you, brothers and sisters, to do so more and more. So he's talking to followers of Jesus. This is Paul talking to followers of Jesus. We urge you to make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. Do not post on Twitter. Do not go online and have a rant against those who don't share your beliefs. You should mind your own business. Great wisdom from the first century. Uh, be quiet. That should be your ambition. Lead a quiet life. Don't stir up trouble. Mind your own business. Work with your hands so that your daily life may what? Win the respect of outsiders. If you want to have influence, if you're a follower of Jesus, it's for you. If you want to have influence amongst your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers, do not get in their face and tell them why they're wrong. Do not continue endlessly to promote your beliefs in front of them. They do not want to hear it. They will probably be turned off to the way of following Jesus. Rather, this advice is you do your thing. You live a life that exudes peace, hope, love, joy, compassion, mercy for others. And by doing that, well, maybe that will actually win some respect. But you going online and having a comment on your uncle's post that you disagree with every single week, not going to win any respect. It's going to make an enemy. You going up to your coworker and telling them why they are wrong about a certain lifestyle choice that they have made, not going to win their respect. But you living a quiet life, being a person of mercy, grace, compassion, that might win some respect for those who aren't followers of Jesus. Number 3, your planks will blind you. I have like 20 planks of wood sitting in my garage right now. We're doing construction in the house. These planks have been sitting there for 4 months. I've been seeing them day after day. It was my original intention to bring one of those planks in with me this morning to show you how large those planks are, but they are so big that they do not actually fit in my car. They are probably, like 12 feet long. So when Jesus talks about, hey, you got a massive plank in your eye, think about a 12-foot wood plank sticking out of your eye. Number one, it's really hard to walk when you have that. You ever tried that before? Like having a giant plank sticking out of your eye? It doesn't work really well. Now compare that to what Jesus says, a speck of sawdust. How small is a speck of sawdust compared to a 12-foot plank of wood? And Jesus is like, hey, you got a massive, like you're worried about that speck of sawdust in their eye. Meanwhile, like, dude, do you not see that giant plank hanging out of your eye? Like, how can you even walk around? You hypocrite, take it out of your eye, and then what? You'll see clearly. Like, you can't even see where you're going. You're making these judgments, but your vision is awful. So these judgments that you're making upon other people, like, there's no basis for making these judgments ultimately because you can't see well. Jesus would often talk about the eye. If your eye is good, well, then you can see well. But if your eye is bad, you're actually unable to see and make proper judgments. Jesus would call the religious leaders blind guides. Sight was very important to Jesus. It was very important in the ancient world. Take the giant plank out of your own eye, and then you will be able to see clearly, which leads us to number 4. What then is the result of being able to see clearly? Oh, I know why. I was looking at my notes earlier this morning. I thought I had this verse twice. I thought it was redundant. Now I remember what I did. Okay, I got to see which one I have here, because otherwise we're going to have to, this is in real time here. Let's see. Okay. What is the result of being able to see clearly? Well, I had this other verse that I wrote, which was supposed to be a joke. So I'll tell what I actually wrote. You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will be able to judge. I forget what I even wrote, but then you'll be able to judge your brother. No, that's not what it says. So unfortunately, I erased the slide. Joke failed right here. But you don't remove the plank out of your eye so that then you can go about judging others and casting judgment upon how others are living their lives, but rather the reason why you remove the plank, the reason why you then are able to see clearly is so that you can help your brother remove the speck from their eye. So the plank is removed. You deal with what you have going on in your life, not so that you can have the elevated moral high ground, not so that you can appear superior and better than others, but rather so that you can humble yourself. The example that we see from Jesus. You can come alongside those who are in need of help and healing, and you can help them to take that speck from their eye. You remove the plank so that you can be filled with true compassion, so that you can have care and concern for other people. Sometimes we have this giant plank hanging out of our eyes, and we are then unable to come alongside someone in need. Or we're unable to actually see their need because we're so busy judging that we can't even see the fact that they're deeply grieving or they're deeply hurting. And what they need, rather than someone judging them, telling them what to do, how to believe, how to be, they need someone to come alongside them and just be there with them in the midst of that which they are going through. So you remove the plank from your eye, you deal with what's happening within you so that you can then help others grow and you can help others see God clearly. You realize, see, judging makes it all about you. When you're judging others, it's all about you and where you match up, how you stand. But what Jesus is saying is that's not the point. It's not about you. It's about being a person through whom the Spirit can flow. And you come to realize that you then may be the one with the sawdust. You got the plank out of your eye, but what happens when you cut a plank? The sawdust goes everywhere. So you get the plank out and realize, oh wow, there's still some sawdust here in my eye. Like whenever I'm around my friend doing carpentry work and he asked me to hold a piece of wood for him, I mean, the amount of specks, if I'm not wearing glasses or something, the amount of specks they are there. They're there for days sometimes. So you remove the plank, but you realize, wow, there's still more specks here for me to deal with. And so this idea of do not judge, it's meant to be this humbling exercise where we humble ourselves and we trust in the grace, the forgiveness, the healing, the mercy of Christ for our lives. And then in turn, we offer that same compassion and grace to others.